All right, for those of you who are just arriving, welcome. I'm Alex, and I will be leading out in our webinar today. I'm assisted here by Kevin and Sharon and Greg. They won't be talking as far as we've planned, but they will be looking at your questions, and they've helped get this and organize this, this whole piece here. So I'm excited to be sharing with you today a little bit about how medical reporting and the whole health system works here in UltraCamp. We have a couple of tools to help you ask questions. If you're working from a tablet or a phone, you might have a little bit more of a challenging time asking questions, but there should be an option to raise your hand, and then someone on our team can open up the mic for you to speak. You can also tap in, you might be able to access our chat window, but specifically we have a question and answer section here. And that question and answer section should provide us the best way of responding to the questions. Kevin here is completely dedicated to addressing your questions, and I'll address them out loud as well as we go. So don't hesitate to type something in. We look forward to questions that we have that you might have, and we'll save some time at the end for questions that we don't address while we're going through the process here. I'm excited to be sharing this with you all today, and hopefully you can all see my screen here. I'm going to be going through the health system in a couple of different ways here. We're going to take a quick look at it from the public point of view. Then we're going to look at medications from the admin point of view, medical logs, and then we'll do some reporting at the end. So that's kind of our rough agenda for today. And we're going to go ahead and dive in by taking a look at things from the public point of view. So clicking on the public point of view here, you'll see that I'm in our demo site. I am in a specific account, and someone has to have an account before they can enter medication information. Here we've got a mom example and a teen and kid, and if she's registering or signing up for camp, at some point in the registration process, mom's going to encounter this page. Does my kid have medications? Yes. No, my kid does not take any medications, or I don't wish to record medications at this time. They can be added to kid later. And you'll notice, I mean, kid is our test name here. It could be anybody's name. For me, it would say Alex has medications. Yes. Yes, Alex has medications. No, Alex does not have any medications. So that's sensitive. And we can see here that kid is signing up for overnight week 2. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and we can take a look at the interface that UltraCamp gives to your parents. So to parents, I must have timed out here. So that page is gone for the moment. So let's take another look here. I'm not going to go through the whole registration process because that's not what we're here for. So if I click on kid's name, I can come down to their medications and manage their medications here. And after clicking yes, this is the page that would have come up. And here we can see the interface for adding a medication's name. So I can start typing in here. Let's see here. And UltraCamp's going to start looking through the FDA provided list for matches to what the parents are typing. This list here matches the letters I've typed in so far. So UltraCamp's going to give me a suggestion. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we have our first question. Some of you are wondering if you have to take notes on this, and the answer is no. We're recording the webinar so you can watch it again later, as Sharon just pointed out here, but also we have some aspects of this are available in our help center. We've got some video and text guides that cover the vast majority of what I'm going to cover today. So you can watch the video, this particular webinar, or you can use our other help items. So I don't believe you have to take notes unless that really helps you in your learning experience. But since this Keflex capsule since it's a capsule, the FDA lets us know that the generally preferred route for a Keflex capsule is oral. So it pre-populates how the route for that medication. Now, I still need to put in my schedule here. So we're going to do breakfast, and it's 200 milligrams, and then lunch every day, 200 milligrams, and dinner every day, 200 milligrams. So this is we're on this antibiotic. Why are we on this antibiotic? Ear infection. And the parent has to type a reason in here in order to save their medication. So if they click Save Medication, they're given a summary of what they just added, and they can add another one. They can also save and proceed, which saves their medication information and takes them on to the next page, wherever that may be. In this case, it returns me to the biographical information where I just was. So here I can see what medications I'm on. And that's kind of a picture of the parent experience. They can return at any time. They can go from their account, click on a child's name, and they can either click this handy button over here on the left, or they can expand medications on the right. Either one of those will take them to this particular page. And now that we have a medication, we can see that it's current, and if I need to make changes to it, I can. So I'm going to go ahead and return to the admin site here. And I'm going to do that in both my tabs here. Working multiple tabs is risky in UltraCamp, so I'm going to go ahead and close that last one. So here we are on the administrative side. Now, this is the side that most of your health professionals will be working from. I'm just going to go to the home button here. And what we would generally recommend is if you wanted to look at an individual person's medication information, you want to look at their medical records, you're going to type in all or part of their first or their last name. So I'm going to go ahead and type in example, and here is the last name of the child of the account we were just in. Now you may notice that I'm already in that account here, but I think it's still important to note how we do that search. Now this will open up their account detail. The health professional should click on the individual's name. We're going to click on Kid Example. And there are two ways they can look at their medical information. One is through this button here on the left. And here, all of the information that you have tagged as medically related will show up. We can see the medications, and there's just the briefest summary here. Allergies are not set up currently for this particular organization, so we don't have any of their allergy information specified. Don't have a medical form, and there are no medical logged events that we need to be aware of here. So I can quick print those. I can use these icons if I'm on a tablet. I can just tap that, or I can click this to change or edit or print their medications. I'm going to go ahead and close that down, and I'm going to scroll down here on the right-hand side to our expandable menus. And here we can see medications, and they're listed here. Again, just the briefest bit of information. However, I have some different options than the parent had. I have the ability to print labels. And if I click that, it'll ask, okay, which session, if they're in a session. They're not in a session currently, but I can choose multiple medications. If I had multiple medications here, they'd show up. Choose my template for how those medications should look in their printout, and choose what kind of address labels are. When I click print labels, it's actually not going to send it to my printer because I don't have it set up. But it would actually send it to a PDF if I had my template set properly. Now, if I go to the default here, we should be able to see that. Oh, no, still getting an error there. But that will send it and generate a PDF of the labels that I'm printing out for that individual person. Most people connect that with a label maker to save printing an entire sheet of labels for just one child. But that can do this as well. You'll notice we have some other options here to administer meds and to print the MAR. If I click administer meds, well, maybe I should hold off on that just a little bit here. We're going to get to administering meds in a little bit. But if I print the MAR, this will bring up the Kardex MAR format here. And you can see that for the Keflex capsule that we entered, the times of day are abbreviated: breakfast, lunch, dinner, nighttime, and other. They're abbreviated here, and there's a space here for me to write my initial that I administered the med at that time, or I could probably put in like the time I administered it and maybe initial it a little bit here, but there's a space for me to indicate that this medication was administered. The dark gray fields or cells, they indicate that it is not to be administered at this time. So we said this was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we have those fields available here. There's also a place for PRN and some signatures for those people who participated in the administration of meds. And it's just a single page. Now, because I came from the person detail, I'm going to have to use my back browser button. And this is all well and good for a single individual. But often at camp, we're not dealing with single individuals. So we'll want to take a look at, we're going to want to take a look at how to manage this for a large number of individuals at a time. And this takes us kind of away from the individual example here to our reporting and health menu. But before I go, I just want to touch on a couple of things. First of all, the medical information button. We have, when you click on this, forms and items that you have designated as medically related, and you can indicate a form as medically related. You can indicate a specific question in a form is an allergy question. Neither of these are set up for our demo camp, but those can be set up for your camp. And I'll show you in just a minute here how to set those up. This page, however, all of this medical information in this pop-up is restricted. If I'm able to access it because I have master administrative privileges, a master administrator or a health administrator can access this page. However, someone who has basic reporting or financial reporting, they cannot access this. If they were to click medical information, this pop-up would, instead of showing their information, say, you do not have permission to access this page. If this is an emergency, type your reason for accessing this page in here, and there will be a button down here where they can click that to access it. Now that means that anybody who has administrative access to UltraCamp can access someone's health information. However, if anyone does not have the right permissions and accesses this information, an email is immediately sent to the master administrator of your database saying so-and-so, this user, accessed this person's medical information. Part of the reason this is in place is to allow for those emergency scenarios where all the health professionals are busy and someone else has to step in to address someone's health needs. Maybe they need to print out their medical record or their permission to treat form to take them to see a health professional off-site. But that safety measure is here for those special emergencies and to give you the flexibility you need while still protecting camper information. All right, so looks like some people have asked some questions here, and Kevin's given some nice instructions. I'm just going to quickly run through where you can set up some of these questions here. So if you go here to custom, in the settings menu to custom questions and form excerpts, here you can indicate that you want specific questions to appear in certain places. First of all, you have to choose your form. And I'm just going to choose this one. Then we can choose a question this camper is allergic to. And I can set this as the allergy information question. This can display both in the admin and the public side. I can display in different places. The allergy information really only impacts the admin side of things. But in this case, if I were to add this, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, it may take a minute or two, but now if I click medical information, you'll see there's a question mark here. And we don't know what kid example's allergies are because he hasn't filled out his medical form. To designate a form as a medical form, we're going to go to System/Management, My Forms, and you click on the form, and we've got lots of forms in here. And there's a checkbox that says contains medical information. If you check that box and save it, using the complete button at the bottom, this is now a designated medical form and will show up in that list. You do want to be a little careful because that list can get kind of lengthy and then it loses some of its efficacy. But if you want to access something through this particular button quickly, and you want all their medical information here, it's a great way to do it. All right, well, I just clicked on someone else's name, teen example here, instead of kid example. We'll run across them again in some of our examination here today of the health features. So we've looked at things from an individual perspective. And I'm just back at the account detail. We've looked at it from the public view and the administrative view. How to look up a person, how to click on their name and get the information that we need quickly and easily. What I'm going to do now is move into more of the broad aspect of reporting on multiple people at once. And so we've put in place for that kind of a scenario, a health menu. Most of the health-related activities that a health professional will be using UltraCamp for anyway is reporting on their medication and recording medication and incidents. Now, many of you have health forms as well. Those are customized per organization, and so those are dealt with in a different place than the health menu. And so we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But right now, we looked at how to look up one person's medications. We're going to now take a look at how to look up multiple medications. This is our medications report. Now, this report has a bunch of different filters on it, so it lets me look for very specific things. For example, I could look at everyone who's been prescribed Keflex. I don't need to do that. In fact, this field usually is ignored, but I can look things up and see a specific medication and look at that information. I can also look by dosage or route, but right now, and this only displays the routes that are in use at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and point you to this filter right here, the schedule filter. This is probably one of the more common uses of this. So a health professional is going to be administering meds in the morning, and they want to know how many meds we have to give out at breakfast. So they say, well, just tell me everyone who has to have a breakfast med. Or tell me everyone has a breakfast med and everyone who has a lunch med, and they can pick specific times. We're going to go ahead and leave it at breakfast meds. You'll notice there are some other filters here, stored groups. I can look at specific sessions. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here to the bottom, and I have two options. I can print to screen or print to PDF. We're going to work with the screen here for just a moment. And when I search, I can now see everyone who has a breakfast medication, along with some of the details about that. We have the person's name. Again, we're in a test camp here, so we're not invading anyone's privacy here. We have the medication, dosage, route. You can even see their schedule here. Breakfast, 10 milliliters, 9 a.m. as need and as needed, 10 milliliters. And this is for their allergies. You can see when this was created back in 2016. And so you can see all of these different medications that are to be administered at breakfast. Now, we have 81 people in our list. I could store this information, which takes a snapshot of the data, and then I can manipulate it or work with it further in UltraCamp. I can export this to Excel, or I can send this data straight to my printer. You'll notice there are these check boxes off to the left. Down at the bottom is a disable button. Every year we get camps asking the question, how do I make sure my parents have up-to-date medication information and aren't just skipping over it? So we have this feature which allows you to say, all of these medications are now out of date. I want parents to have to start over. And so you can select all and click this disable button. I'm not going to do that right now. And what that does is it hides all of this medication information, and it's still stored in UltraCamp. You can still report on it. Some of you eagle-eyed people out here might have noticed the show disabled medications checkbox here. So you can still report on disabled medications, but they're hidden from view. They won't show up, for example, by default on kids under kids list here. They will be hidden. They won't show. Only enabled medications show. So this is one of the tools that we have through the medications roster to help you make sure that the information you're pulling is up to date. So at the end of the season, you might make a note to yourself, let's go back in and let's disable the medications. Not all camps want that though. It doesn't fit every organization. So this is completely optional, and you'll want to discuss with your health professionals whether this is the best approach for you. All right, so that's just an example of the kinds of things we can do with the medications report. Some of you work at sites, however, where your parents can register their children easily enough online. But when they get out on site, whether they're in a remote outpost camp, or maybe your camp doesn't have good wireless internet where the cabins are, UltraCamp provides an option for you here. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and select breakfast. And this time I'm going to narrow it down just a little bit. My day camps, we're not too worried about administering meds because the day campers come in after breakfast. But I'm going to go ahead and narrow in on overnight week 2. So this allows me to pick overnight week 2. We can imagine for a moment that this is the camp that we are experiencing right now. And I can select found medications to screen, and you'll see I have a much smaller list. There are only 3 people during this week that that have medications. So I can send that to screen, or in scenarios where I want to record the administration of medications, I can send these to a PDF. Now here, UltraCamp, because I've only got 3 people, UltraCamp is able to quickly generate the Kardex or Mars format. And we'll see, example, teen has a breakfast med, but no other meds. They're also taking Keflex. Here, we can see Laura. She has Dexedrine in a capsule, and that's also only a breakfast med. Scrolling down further, we'll get to Violet. Now, if you are having your campers upload photos, the photo ID of the child will print in the PDF format. Now, Violet has kind of a special situation. Instead of the normal casual breakfast time, we have a very specific time. And this is something that the parents entered here, a custom time. So she's supposed to have it at a custom time at breakfast at 8:30 every day of the week. and at dinner at 5:30. Lunch is a little more flexible. She's also taking Synthroid, and this is done at night. So we can see she has 2 medications, and therefore two Kardex calendars, I guess you could say, where these pieces, pieces of information are shared, and where you can also log that they were administered, either by initialing or putting a check mark or something along those lines. All right. Let's see here. When I'm done with this, I'm going to have to use my back browser button. But we'll see that there's a separate sheet, at least one sheet per person. Now, some children will have multiple medications, and so their Kardex may be multiple pages long. So this would say page 1 of 2, and then we'd have a second page here. I'm just going to use my back browser button to get back to my list here. And so that PDF, oh, actually, let's go back to the PDF here. Your browser, each browser has a different way of dealing and addressing PDFs. The one I'm using right now, I can download that or I can print that. And then that can be, I can just put these sheets on my clipboard, and I can have this regardless of my internet connection when I'm administering these meds. All right, so we've just looked at the medications report. There are a few other things here that can be useful. Some health professionals don't like to look through the list of programs that you're offering to find the name of the program. You can use stored groups and create a stored group for them, naming it something that will make sense to them and be easy to find. Some organizations like to do that, creating a stored group. But this has a filter for that as well. The creation date allows you to look for medications that were added to someone's account during a specific time frame. So that's another filter here that some people like to use as well. All right. So this, how we got here again, was the health menu, reports, medications roster. So if you're administering meds, you can print out the Kardex and keep a paper record of that. However, some organizations like to use the technology we have available, and they like to record meds a little bit differently. Here, I can click this link again. That's the health menu, recording, record administered meds. Now I can search for one person, and this will, I can search for example here. And UltraCamp will take me and it'll say, okay, here are the example people. Mom example, teen example, pick which one you want to work with. So that's one option. However, that'll take us to a different place. I want to show you what it looks like to administer meds to multiple people. Now, we can go through that same process we just did. We want to look at breakfast. I can look for a stored group here. You'll notice there's no list of sessions here to look through. We can do a stored group, but you have to have created that. What UltraCamp has done is added this checkbox in current session. So if it's in the week, if I'm administering breakfast meds and I'm a health professional, I check this box, it's only going to return people who are in a current session, an ongoing session. And of course, if I click search, this is going to return nobody because we don't have breakfast meds in an ongoing session as far as I know here. Now, this is a little bit of a slower process here because UltraCamp has to load the data. And hopefully I didn't stall out our report here by report. All right, yeah. So it said, yeah, there's nobody here. So what I can do, and let's see if I can, oh, there is some people here in a session right now. Okay, so apparently Violet is attending a program right now, and so is Laura. And it will list each individual's name here with their photo where your, well, with a photo in the group that you've just reported for. And if I were to run this for everyone, of course, we would have gotten 180 here, or 80, not 180. I think we had 81 earlier. All right, so here UltraCamp gives the name of the medication, the dosage, and the route and time, and comments from the parents about why these medications are to be dispensed. Now the health professional, all they have to do is click this record button or tap this record button if they're on a tablet. And UltraCamp says, yep, administered at the appropriate time. Of course, UltraCamp will log the exact time you tap that button, and in our reporting for logged medications, that will show. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here for Laura. And you'll notice a little green check mark shows up here saying this has been dispensed. Now, if I decide for some reason not to give Violet her medication, then I have to uncheck the box and say she was feeling queasy. How do you spell queasy? I'm gonna have to look that up later. All right, and we can say, we did not dispense her azithromycin. This will record my reason, and you'll see the black X next to it saying this was not dispensed. But most of the time you're going to be dispensing, so it's just a quickly, you hand the child the medication, you tap the record button, you just move down the list. It is displayed alphabetically, so it should be, we try to make that as easy on the health professional as possible. So once I've gone through my entire list, I'm now done, and the logging is complete. All right. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the individual approach. This is very quick, again, focused on large groups of people and handling multiple people at like a medications table or something along those lines. So we're going to go back to record administered meds, and we're going to look up example, and we're going to go with kid example here, and next. And this looks very different. When we are dealing with a single person, we bring up each medication separately. Again, the photo ID would be here if we had photo ID. And I can say dispensed or not dispensed. And we do allow you to check both. So just want to be careful. That provides some flexibility there. We can say it's dispensed. I can change the dosage that I gave. I can put in a separate date from now, like, oh, I didn't record, I did, it's not right now that I gave this medication. I actually gave it at 8:45. Ooh, man, I can't type today. 8:45 a.m. and that was today at 8:45 a.m. and I just clicked the calendar button and it put my time in. And I can say my reason, kid was slow to get up this morning. And that's optional. I don't have to put something in here, and now I can save that record. So I just wanted to show you the different methods that we have for logging medications. Again, we've looked at the individual route and the group route and how that's done. Of course, we can report on all of that through our administered medication log. So when I click this, I can set my log dates. I can look through any time period. I'm going to leave this, well, let's send it through today. All right, through the 30th. I can look for a specific person. So if I'm checking the logs for a specific individual and make sure they had their medications administered, I can do that. I'm just going to go ahead and click search here, there, and now we can see all the we can see the entire medication log for the dates specified. And up here, you'll see that Alex Prouty it noticed that it was me in the system, and we can see the azithromycin was not administered, and all of those records are here for reporting. All right. So this tool this report can be stored for further manipulation in UltraCamp, can be exported to Excel, or printed here for your records as well. Okay. All right. So we have looked at, sorry, I'm clicking around here. We've looked at the medications roster and how to use that. We've looked at the administered medication log and how to create those records for this report here in UltraCamp. Now, the other common use for UltraCamp is to log medical incidents. Some health professionals have their own log book that they want to use, but UltraCamp does provide an electronic version of that. And we can log medical incidents in a couple of different ways. Going back to our account here, I can look up someone's name, click on the individual, scroll down, and you'll see here under medical logs, I can add an entry. And now I can start to record the medical incident. There's a drop-down menu here. This is customizable. You can add new questions for that. This medical log, yeah, it's pretty customizable here. So I can choose, they had a fever. There was what's my assessment? I can type in my assessment. They were not feeling well. Well, okay, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not very good at assessments. Temperature of 102.8. What was my action? Well, we would give them some Tylenol. And these two fields are required. Now the occurrence date is going to be right now automatically. I can put in a different time, but UltraCamp is going to log both the time of my entry and the time that I record here. So if I say this happened last night, you as an administrator, you'll be able to see both times. UltraCamp logs all of that. And what we have down here are some custom questions that have been added. UltraCamp's normal questions end right here. These are all custom questions that have been added in. So, the blood pressure here, temperature, pulse, respiratory, all of this, and I don't read Korean, but all of this is, and I could be, maybe that's, oh no, that's not even Korean. Okay, I apologize here. My ignorance is showing. But all of this has been added in by people who are testing what kind of questions they wanted to ask every time a medical incident is logged. So when I'm done, I can save my log entry, and we can see recent log entries right here. If I want to view the details, I click here, and now I have more details. Now, you'll notice I have an edit link here. Some people are very uncomfortable with an edit link in medical logs. This is something that you can set based on your organization's logging practices. If I click edit, I can go back in and I can change things here. But UltraCamp logs every change. If your organization doesn't want people to edit and instead they want you to add another entry, like an offsetting entry, then UltraCamp, you can turn this off so that your health professionals can't edit it. Like I can come back in here and say, oh, it was 103.2 because I forgot to calibrate my thermometer. Oh, edit reason. Thermometer was wrong. Thermometer wasn't calibrated. And you'll see I have to put a reason for my edit here. Now when I save that log entry, there's a history of it, and we can see the changes, what it originally was to, here's the change. So UltraCamp does let you, if you wish, edit entries, but understanding the importance of a very clear trail of information, UltraCamp will provide you a history of that. Again, this is optional. This is a choice you can make for your organization. Do you want to allow edits, or do you need separate entries? So that's our, now this, what we're looking at is actually our medical incident log report. And so I can click here and I can put in a series of dates. And we're just going to go ahead and go January 1st through today. I'm just going to click search. And here we have 3 different entries. And we can see what the incidents were. These are other questions that are, again, populated. These are the other questions that are added. But we can see UltraCamp said the entry date was here, the occurrence date is here. We have the assessment, all of this, and then the actions that were taken. So the medical log report can be exported, again, it can be printed for paper records as well, but we keep that here in the system. Now, I just saw a question coming through asking, well, how can we add these extra questions? And that's a very good question. Here in the health menu, in the settings section, we can look at medical logging custom questions. So here are all the custom questions for our UltraCamp demo site that have been added. Now, these, you'll see that this is just a name and a question. Well, how do I get that? By clicking this button here, we can create new custom questions. And so here I can put in a name for my question. It's a new awesome question. And type your excellent answer here. And I can have different types of questions. Text box, single line, good answer, it's a short answer. And I can set all sorts of different parameters here about how this question displays. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save my question. And now I have to choose it. And I have to find in my list. And this demo camp tends to get a little bit lengthy in its lists, but they're all alphabetical, so it makes it easy for me to find. New awesome question. I add the question, and now it is here at the bottom. If we need to change some of these questions, and for example, like the question didn't look quite right. This parent notified, was the primary contact notified? It was a checkbox list, and really a radio button list would look better. This is where all your custom questions are held, in your custom question library. And there are a lot of them, but they are alphabetical, so it makes it easier. I like to use my search, and we have 4. Was the parent notified? Primary contact parent notified. Was the primary contact notified? So I click on this, and here I want to change this from a checkbox to a radio button list. And when I save my question now, if we go back to, let's just go to the health menu. We're going to record a new medical incident. We're going to add an entry. And you'll notice this is a little different here. I just, as a health professional, you might just go to this report and say, and instead of looking up someone in particular, and let's check Violet. Well, Violet's had a medical incident. We can say she had an asthma flare-up and having trouble breathing. Action. All right. And this, we can say this, of course, this happened today, but it was at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, our excellent answers here. This is now a radio button. We'll notify the parents at pickup. So I can save my log entry, and we're good to go. It now shows here. How did I get here? Again, health menu, recording, record medical incident. And we can just add an entry here. Of course, we can also go through an individual's account as well. All right. So that's how you can customize the medical incident log. There are some further medical settings here in the My Settings wizard. Here, there are some medical logging. Do you wish to allow edits? You'll notice yes is selected. And medications, we have some settings here as well. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but if you have questions about them, don't hesitate to reach out to us. All right. We have just about 15 minutes left, and we have covered in a fair amount of detail the medications roster and administering meds, medical incidents, how to set those up. And now what I'd like to do is take a look at some of the other reporting tools, specifically talking about health forms. Most of you have a custom health form for your organization if you're using a health form at all. And in our test camp, this list is long, but we do have here, let's see if we can find it. Should be a camper health history, ACA form, camper health history, no med. This form is custom to you, and you've created your own questions, your own form for this. Now, because it's your own specific form, it's not, we can't just throw that easily into your health report. So we have to look for that elsewhere. And so what you'll need to do to look at information or look at people's health forms, you'll need to go to the reports menu, go to forms and online forms. Here's a list of all the forms, but we're going to select the, well, we were looking earlier at the camper health history ACA form. And we can look at all of the ACA forms that have ever been filled out, and there are 20, or you can use a stored group to narrow it down. At this point, I could print all of those. You'll notice these check boxes off to the left. This top box deselects or selects all. And so if there's somebody I don't want to print out, you know, Bobby, we're not printing out your form. We can then click print selected, and we can even do double-sided printing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Click print selected, and UltraCamp's going to now work to generate a PDF of all of this. And since it's only 20, it's a very quick and easy job for UltraCamp to do. And we can see that this would be your camp's logo and address and contact information. This is the information that we put in about the child, and then we would have their answers here. So it's kind of lengthy. There are 5 pages. So because it's double-sided, we put a blank page in between. This also includes the electronic signature here. So scrolling down, I now have a PDF that I can download or print. Now, with larger jobs and more complex jobs, UltraCamp will send those to the My Jobs page and work through them. And they'll appear here. You can click on them with the Adobe icon if you need to. But that's how you're going to print out your health forms. Now, what if you don't want to print out your health forms? A lot of organizations want to report on the information. Since it's entered electronically, there's a lot of leveraging that we can do. So we can create custom reports that pull information like allergy information. I'm just going to click on this allergy report here. UltraCamp runs the report. It returns everybody who's in my, currently enrolled. and lists their allergies here. Now, in this case, many of these people don't have allergies. But the people, and you can set up the report to show everyone or just the people with allergies. And so here we have the person's name. Here's John, and there's Violet again. And she's, we see what her allergies are. We can then print this to PDF, export it to Excel, etc. Now this opened in a new tab. I can also store this information and manipulate it. But those are two basic ways that we have of addressing the custom medical form that you're using. We can print them out through the online forms link, or we can report on specific data from them. And I know a lot of camps like to have like like called a hot sheet or an area of concern sheet, or something to hand to counselors that lists specific answers to specific questions. Now, one limitation of our custom report builder, can pull in, I'm just going to bring that up here real quick. It can pull in all sorts of information, the first and last name of the child. It can pull that in. And then from our online form, we can pull in any specific question or multiple questions. And I just grabbed a different one here. But you'll notice there's no place to pull in medication information. We cannot pull medication information into the custom report builder. The formatting of the medication in the fields and some of the HIPAA regulations we're restricting access to that. However, I can, under individual information, I can scroll down here, and at the very bottom is, do they have medications or not? And I can drag that in, and it'll simply say yes if they have medications, and no if they don't. So yeah, this then allows us to run a report, and this is going to run for everybody enrolled this year, and it'll give us the answers to their questions. And of course, these reports can be saved and reused again and again. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this report builder after I get back into it. And we've now reviewed here the various aspects of the health system. Again, we've looked at medications, we've looked at medical incidents, how to set up those specific aspects, and here at the end, we've addressed some of the medical form printing and reporting. I'd like to take this time now and see if there are any questions that I know that Kevin has been working here, and Sharon and our other team members as well have been asking questions. And I just didn't know if there were any other questions. Here's a chance to think. Do you have another question that you'd like to ask at this point in time? Someone asked, Diana asked, will you be sending us a link to view this webinar again or share it with our nurses? We'll actually be posting that. Yeah, we'll be posting that so that it's accessible to anyone who's an admin. And I don't know, maybe Sharon, we could email a link to our recording as well. Now, Jennifer asks about the FDA list. It's a lengthy list, and yes, it is a lengthy list and can be a little slow to load. Is there a shortcut key to bypass that? I'll just show you here that with KID here, and I'm sorry, parents are most always going to go to this button here, but out of habit, since I've been here longer than that button has, I always go to the menu. But if I start typing something in here, I can ignore this and just entirely bypass it. You don't have to type in what's there. You don't have to listen to what's there. You can bypass that by typing in whatever you like. UltraCamp does not require it. It's still going to search, and as you saw there, if I type some, unusual name, UltraCamp is still going to search and give me this message, and I have to click out of it in order to get to the rest of the important information that I need to enter. To my knowledge, we don't have a way to turn that off, but I would have to check on that to see there. Now, we had a couple other really good questions. Yeah, questions about printing an attendee. Is there a way to print a Kardex for every attendee, even if they don't have any medications? Not really. There is a bit of a workaround here. UltraCamp, our reports, I'm gonna go back to the admin side here. Our reports in the health menu only pull people who've had medications entered for them. However, you can print a blank Kardex. This doesn't have anybody's name on it, but you can print a blank Kardex and insert that into your list. But we can't do one for everyone, regardless of whether they have meds or not. Let's see here. A couple of other questions that have come through. How long will UltraCamp keep keep reports, and how long will I saw another question, I think it was answered already. So how long will UltraCamp keep the log and the medications? We don't delete any of this data at this point in time, and we have no plans to. So that includes your reports. So if you save a custom report, UltraCamp will hold on to that until you remove it or someone on your team removes it. Or if you ask one of us to remove it. So you can see we've got lots of reports in here. And I don't know if you noticed in the medications list or the medical incident roster, we've got stuff going back years and years and years from all the practice entries we've done just in this database. So let's see here. If you have a custom question about medical alerts, can you pull that up as part of your custom report? Absolutely. Yeah, any kind of custom question that you add, you can report on that in UltraCamp. Now, the one area where that's not the case is here in our medical incident log. If you've added the question as a medical incident log entries are only reported on through here. They're not reported on through the custom roster, just like medications. Now, can parents see on the public side if I record a medical incident? Well, that's a great question. And I'd like to just, let's see here. We don't by default show a medical, well, here I went to the wrong place, sorry. We don't by default show medical incidents to the public side. When I add an entry, there's not even a choice to do that. I think at one point we let people show medical incidents on the public side, but yeah, we don't even give them the option to show that. Those do not show. So we know we've just recorded several medical incidents here from mom. Let's switch over to the public view and let's just make sure. We're going to click on kid example, medications, no medical incidents are listed here. Hopefully that answers that question. Now, some other medical areas. So see this question here from Mariah. We have specific forms we want the parents to use, a medication approval form from a doctor. Can we upload medical forms to an account? And the answer is yes. Those also will show, if they are designated as medical, they will also show and print from this shortcut interface here. That's all controlled here through document management. And so it's a little bit outside of the scope of what I was intending to get into today, but just to give you a little preview, you could upload from your computer the specific PDF that you want your parents to use and that they download, they take to their physician, they have their physician fill out and sign. We have the ability to allow the public to upload that and to say it contains medical information. Usually you'd say this is a per person document. Some do per account, but here, usually it's for medical documentations per person. If this box allow public upload is checked, it lets your parents log into their account, and I'll just go to the public view here. I didn't save any of my changes, but they can go to the document center, and you can provide them a direct link to this, and they can upload their document, child information record. You can see different people have experimented with this. They can upload their document, and they can even use their phone to take a picture of it, and UltraCamp turns it into a PDF. So that then shows up on the administrative side into something that you can report on. You don't have the custom reporting because it's just a PDF. It's not electronically entered. The answers, you can't report on the answers from it through custom reporting, but you can still print it out and have it in your logs. All right, well, thank you, everyone. We had a good series of questions here. Just one last question. I think I might have addressed this a little bit earlier. The question is, can we make sure the medical, how can we make sure the medical log can't be edited and a new entry is put in? This is in the My Settings wizard. It's in the medical section here. If you look in the checklist on the left, medical logging, just switch that to no, and they will not be able to edit their own entries. So hopefully that helps with that question for those of you who are concerned about people editing their medical logs. And finally, Teresa has a question. She asked, will UltraCamp turn the picture into a PDF? And the answer is yes, absolutely. All right, well, I'm afraid that's all the time I have for today. I do want to encourage you to shoot me an email, alex@ultracamp.com, or submit a support ticket if you have further questions about this. Also, our Help Center has a lot of other details and covers a lot, has video and text guides for a fair amount of what I've talked about today, in addition to things like, well, Alex, you mentioned a stored group. How do I create that? We've got that in our Help Center as well. There will be a poll that is sent around. If you don't mind filling that out to give us feedback, so we can, as we continue to do webinars, we can continue to improve our program and improve what we do. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and look forward to chatting with each of you again in the future.